to Amazon. I probably spend half of my week just going to the UPS store for Amazon returns. Literally just to get rid of boxes after just throwing away tons of boxes. Boxes are the story of my life. It's always what I do. Always recycle though. Got baby pee on my sweatshirt. Forgot to change. It's been a little while since I did a video like this and talked about, your creativity as a photographer and kind of the social media pressures, but it got me thinking that I needed to do another video pretty soon about this just because I got so much feedback from a post that I shared on my Instagram account from a tweet that I wrote, and it said, don't compare your photography to someone else's social media highlight reel. And I think that's so important, and I have to remind myself of this all the time when I am sharing something to social media. There's always going to be people who don't like what you do, but there's going to be way more people who love what you do and who are cheering you on and who are in your corner. So I think too, when you look at social media and the amounts of pressure that it puts on you as a photographer, as a creative person, someone who is actually sharing something that they create and something that they're really proud of, it can be really difficult when you share that post. It gets a handful of likes, but then you look over at someone else's post and you're influenced by the amount of likes, comments, shares, things like that it gets. We have to be really careful about doing that as photographers, just because things that we post on social media is a highlight reel. I post my best images so that I can get noticed on social media. We don't always post the photos that don't go so well, or the photos that were a trial and error image that we were just shooting and seeing what would happen if it did. There are countless of photos that I have on my hard drive that are really, really bad, and just probably 5 to 10% of them are really good, and photos that I would share on social media, that I would put on my website. I mean, if you look at just my website in particular, if I can use myself as an example here, I just have a handful of images on there, but I've been taking photos for 10 years now, so it doesn't correlate with the fact or the idea or the thought process that someone may have of looking at my site or someone else's social media account and saying, they only take bangers over and over and over. That's just not true. That's not realistic. We take so many photographs as photographers, especially now in this digital age, that it allows us to do the trial and error work and then move it over into social media or a post or, a website, anything like that shows the final product of all of that trial and error work. And I think that's the part that we have to keep in mind here is we're showing the end result of our vision. We're not really showing the work that goes into the vision. I think that's really why a lot of people are gravitating right now towards YouTube, just because it does show you that behind the scenes process, that process of finding a location, taking a bunch of images, getting the composition just right, and then taking that one image out of hundreds that's the keeper. That's the one that you share. There's so much pressure right now for photographers, and especially for beginning photographers, that they get confused, or even if you're not a beginner, I've fallen into this trap too. If you get confused about the pressure and what you should be photographing or what you should be sharing, when in fact, you're not just confused, you're just at the starting point of something new. So the confusion is really like a turning point in your mind of what you're going to create, what's the next photograph you're going to take, how are you going to use this information that your brain is now taking in to create something that speaks to your style. So when you are photographing, when you are out in the field, don't get so overwhelmed with what you've seen on social media, because you can't compare what you've done and what you know is on your hard drive to someone's highlight reel on Instagram or on Facebook or on their website. You know, I shared that post, and one of my good friends, John Barclay, texted me or DM'd me and said, you know, comparison is the thief of joy. That couldn't be more true. So we have to look at this as not a comparison game. We have to look at it as an inspiration game. You know, what do you like about that image? What do you not like? How can you influence your style by creating something using that technique or that idea or that lens that they have? So really start to figure out ways that you can remap your mind and how you think about not comparison, but just looking at something and implementing it into your photography if you like it. And if I could share a word of advice, don't look at the likes, don't look at the comments, don't look at the shares, just look at what inspires you about someone else's work and look at what inspires you about your photography and just enjoy what you're learning at the moment.